Hello, Year 10, and a very warm welcome back to you all. I really hope you had a good Christmas break and that you're ready to learn. I know it's a very weird circumstance, but we're here for you and we're going to do our best to make sure that you understand your home learning and that you get the most out of it. Today we are doing a new unit, so we're looking at the UK's evolving physical landscape. What we're going to do every single week is provide you with certain things that will help you understand what could be quite a complex unit. So, just starting with some very helpful information for this unit. So, what we're covering. So, first thing, of course, is something called the geology of the UK. So, these are the essentially the types of rocks that we're standing on. So, the rock types in the UK. We're also looking at topography and relief of the UK. Now, relief you've probably heard of before, so that's to do with the height of the land, and we talk about that in this lesson. Topography, you might not have heard of that word before, you could have heard about it in our development unit, but essentially it's talking about the physical stuff on the land, those physical features, what you can find there. Last but not least, we are also, and very importantly, talking about the physical and human processes that create and change the UK's landscape. Physical, of course, meaning natural, and then human, meaning things that we have influenced, things that we have created, things like agriculture, for example. What you'll be provided with. Now, every single week, you will have a video based on each lesson, just like what I'm doing here for you today. This video will be uploaded to YouTube and the link will be provided for you. You will, of course, have a PowerPoint lesson, and we'll try to save this every week as a PDF as well. We're doing this because we know that some of you might have issues with accessing Microsoft PowerPoint or Keynote if you have a Mac. We will also upload any textbook pages that you need to successfully answer questions in your lessons. And very importantly, we have sessions every week on Microsoft Teams. Please look out for the timings of those sessions in your inbox, which I hope you're checking every day. And then you will be with us each week to help you through each week's learning. Now, here's your role. You need to make sure you have a notebook or document on your computer or your device where all of your work for geography at home is stored. And I think it's really important that you also keep a glossary for your key words. And there will be a lot of key words. These are words that are in the exam specification. So guess what? You do need to know what they mean. Make sure you read the checklist at the start of each lesson. This ensures that you don't miss out anything and that you can keep track of what exactly you've been learning and how you're meeting your lesson objectives. Do your best to complete activities before each deadline. We will make those deadlines clear on Satchel 1. And do you know what? We know there might be some issues with keeping up to date. For example, if you have a device you're sharing. So please honestly tell your geography teacher if there will be some difficulty in meeting a particular deadline. Do make sure, as best as you can, you attend your online sessions on Microsoft Teams, and of course, email your geography teacher if you need any help. Now, this is your first checklist in this unit. Our lesson today is about the geology of the UK. So, like I said, the rock types found in the UK. The first thing I'd like you to do is to make sure you have actually watched last week's video assigned by your geography teacher from the Oak National Academy. It will make today's learning a lot easier. Here are the three main tasks that you're going to be doing today. So the first thing is you're going to have a map, a physical map of the UK, and you will describe the location of upland and lowland areas of the UK. The second thing you're going to do, which is a bit longer, you're going to make some notes on the three main reasons for why the landscape of the UK is the way that it is. And I've tried to make it clear for you with a little sign that says note taking activity, and you'll see a little purple pen where you should be making notes as well. The third task is you're going to complete a word fill, very straightforward word fill about the characteristics and the distribution of the UK's main rock types. Remember, distribution is referring to how something is spread or shed out. Now, a little bit selfish on our part, but it does make things a lot easier. You will each week, hopefully, have an automatic quiz on Satchel 1, and it is multiple choice. I know that sounds like it's easy, but you need to read different choices really carefully. It is good for us because we are able to instantly see how you're doing once you submit that quiz, and also it will shape how we help you as individuals with anything that you're finding difficult in the unit. Now let's get onto the first bit. So 4.1a in your specification. Just a reminder, your specification is EdXL B for geography. EdXL specification B. The first thing we're looking at are upland and lowland areas of the UK. So we've got this relief map here. You might have seen something similar in your geography classrooms or in an atlas. Weird colours, but those colours are really useful. If you look at the key, there's a yellow arrow next to that key. It shows you the height of the land above sea level. So if it is very high land, we should be looking at the browns, the greys and the whites. If it is low land, we should have the light and dark greens. Now it says they're using the relief map, describe where the upland areas and lowland areas are in the UK. So upland meaning highland and lowland meaning, well, lowlands. So first question says describe the location of the upland areas. Second question says describe the location of the lowland areas. And do push yourself. Have a go at that challenge. It says give physical reasons for the differences in the relief of the land. So give natural reasons for why the land is high in some areas and lower in some areas. Now, to help you with the next bit of the lesson, which is looking at the reasons for the shape of the landscape in the UK, you're going to watch this video. Really straightforward because it's describing something you've touched on before, which is the three types of rock. So I'm going to help you with the first question. The three types of rock we look at, of course, are igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. What you need to do is try to name a couple of examples of each type of rock and start to think, so which of those rock types are more resistant, so harder, more difficult to erode, and which of those rock types are less resistant, softer, easier to erode. So I've put there make concise notes on the reasons for the shape of the land in the UK. And I put there that concise means clear, short, and to the point. Really quickly, before we go on to that next slide, have a look at that image. This is in the southeast of the UK. The rock type there looks quite pale, white. Start to think about if you saw that in an exam paper or even in real life, what type of rock would you assume that is? Okay, so the first reason for the shape of the land in the UK is the UK's geology. And I've reminded you there that relief refers to the height of the land. Just a quick reminder, this is a note-taking activity. So I do like this map of Great Britain. It's not the whole of the UK, it's just Great Britain. And it is split for you. So in the north and the west of Great Britain, okay, we can see that there are harder rocks. So these are rocks that are more difficult to erode. These are rocks that are more resistant. And we've made a note there that in places like Wales, Scotland, the north of England, it means that because they're harder to erode, we often have higher relief. So it's harder to erode those rocks, so we're more likely to see highland areas. In the east and the south of the UK, largely we find softer rock. So we have rocks like clay and chalk in places that are near to us. So in places like London, Essex, Kent. Now, there's something I want you to think about, and this is coming up in the next unit where we look at coasts and also a bit when we look at rivers. Why is it that the east coast of England, for example, is prone to lots of coastal erosion? So think about why there is a lot of coastal erosion on the east coast of England and use the geology of that area to enable you to answer that question. Now, hopefully, if you're paying attention to the video, that diagram, that cycle on the left-hand side of the slide should make some sense. So this is a rock cycle. It summarizes what the video explained about how these different types of rock form. Okay. What you need to realize is that it is dynamic. So it is a cycle because it does not stop. Now, you already know that things like tectonic processes are dynamic, they do not stop. Okay, so we can kind of understand why the creation, destruction, and changing of rocks is also dynamic. We've got an example there of just how the geology of the UK can be a little bit weird. We've got a landform called a tor. Now, it doesn't fit into the landscape around it, does it? It looks out of place. But it was created because we have a more resistant rock surrounded by less resistant rock. So magma, a long, long time ago, was injected into the crust and cooled to form igneous rock. As the land around it was eroded, because it was less resistant, okay, that tor was left there. So we've got this high bit of land there on the tor. Now, the next reason for the shape of the land in the UK is to do with past tectonic processes. Right, by now, for goodness sake, we've done tectonic processes to death. We should be very comfortable with the different types of plate boundary. If you're not, this is a time to relearn that information. So I've asked you a couple of questions. So what type of plate boundary creates new crust? And this is due to seafloor spreading. So on what type of plate boundary do we find that magma comes up as lava, cools, and pushes plates apart? We've got three examples there, the three diagrams. Think back to year 8. Think back to year 9. You have done it before. The second question I've asked you is which type of plate boundary leads to the formation of fold mountains? So we're talking about the squeezing of sections of the Earth's crust, forcing them up, the forcing up of sediments. Just to remind you, we have three types of plate boundaries. So we have conservative or transform, we've got constructive, and we have convergent. Okay. Now, constructive plate boundaries are also called divergent because the two plates are moving away from each other. And very importantly, you can see at the bottom of the screen, we have a key word. You better write it in your glossary. That is strata, which means layers of rock. Continuing this theme of tectonic processes, we've got some examples of proof that a long, long time ago, we were near plate boundaries. We've got the Pennines, so mountains that run like a spine in the middle of England. So over 300 million years ago, tectonic processes, as it said there, meant that convection currents beneath the tectonic plate caused it to rise above sea level. And this is why we have these kind of incongruous areas of highland, even in the middle of England. Okay? If your target is 7 or above, or if you just want to push yourself, have a go at reading that info at the bottom. so slightly more complex processes that led to the formation of something called a fault scarp. Read that through, have a go at understanding that. Now, in preparation for the next the next reason for the shape of the land in the UK, I want you to have another look at a video. So this one talks about something called glaciers. Glaciers are massive, frozen, I guess you could call them rivers of ice. What I would like you to do is, in watching the video and in your note taking, think about the main processes that are outlined in the video. And whenever we talk about processes at Key Stage 4, some people freak out. Don't freak out. One big clue is that most processes end in shun or jeune. Okay, so have a look in the video for those processes, and you would have heard some of them before. What I've put for you on the right hand side is an example of something created by a glacier. It's called a tarn. So this man is walking by a lake in something called a corrie, that armchair looking shape in the valley. So this is a corrie lake or a tarn, and this is in an upland area. It was created by a glacier. Okay. There is another challenge towards the bottom. Really lovely video from PBS. And if you want to push your understanding of glacial formation and movement, that is very, very useful indeed. An opportunity to show off a bit of your knowledge when exam time comes next year. Let's look at glacial processes. So it's been an incredibly long time since the UK was heavily glaciated. Huge glaciers formed in the places that we see as areas of upland in the UK today. It created these dramatic shapes, these huge U-shaped valleys. We're going to look at that on the next slide. I see another key word there. Can you make sure you write it down? Now that image on the bottom left, it looks as though it's liquid almost, but it's just a reminder that glaciers are indeed solid. They are moving. It's very, very slow. It's not like a river, but they are moving, which means that inevitably they are changing the appearance and the characteristics of the land around them. On the right hand side, we have a map showing the areas of the UK that were heavily glaciated in the slightly darker blue, slightly glaciated in the light blue, and the non-glaciated parts in the green. Glaciers have created some very dramatic shapes, as I've said, and I've asked you a question. Looking at those two images from the same region, the Pennines, where we've got a V-shaped valley and a U-shaped valley, what happens to water as it freezes, and how can this explain why glaciated valleys have this U shape, this bucket shape, a wider shape than a simple river valley? If you're not sure about that, have a quick Google, have a look at any revision guides you might have. There's a reason. It's something to do with the qualities, the characteristics of water as it freezes. Once more, if you're targeted 7 or above, just make sure you have a look at the bottom. We've got these two very important words, plucking and abrasion. These are two processes, okay? These are actions that are created by glacial movement. They can occur on the sides of a valley, at the bottom of a valley. Have a quick read. Now, before you start the final part of the lesson, I've asked you just to stop and just check your understanding. There is no point in moving on if you don't have a decent understanding of the three rock types from slide 4, so that video that you were asked to watch earlier. So a reminder, you are to look at igneous, sedimentary and metamorphic rock, just to make sure you understand what they are, how they're formed, and just to know a couple of examples as well, because you're going to complete a very short word fill on the next slide based on that. So if you're not sure, do not fret. go back to slide 4 and make sure you're comfortable with that knowledge. Okay? Now, we've got this weird psychedelic looking map here, but it does make sense, I promise you. I've given you a key on the bottom right, showing you different types of sedimentary, metamorphic, and igneous rock found in the British Isles. Okay? You can already see, I hope, when we look at that dividing line, that certain rocks are predominantly in the east and south, and certain rocks are mainly found in the north and the west. Have a careful look at the key, really careful look at the map, and then have a go at completing that word fill. It is a lot easier than it looks, so do not panic. We're now going to round off the lesson and talk briefly about what you need to do between now and your Right, so this is what we should have achieved today. Just make sure, have you gone back and ensured you've watched the video from Oak National Academy about the UK's physical landscape? Can you confidently describe where we find areas of upland and lowland in the UK? Have you made short, sharp, clear notes on the three main reasons why the shape of the land in the UK is different in different places? And finally, have you done that short word fill about the types of rock in the UK and where they are? Do not forget we've got that multiple choice quiz that your geography teacher has uploaded on Satchel 1. And remember, you have to read the questions super carefully. It's not simple A, B, C, D. The questions, in most cases, have answers that are quite detailed, so you need to make sure you have fully absorbed today's home learning, you've got the knowledge down, and you don't trip up. A couple of the questions have images attached to them to make sure you get a flavour of what the real thing might look like in a real exam. In fact, one of the images is taken from an Edexcel sample exam paper. If you have any questions whatsoever, please do not hesitate to contact me. That is tboache-mensah at bishop.towerhamlets.sc.uk. And of course, feel free to email your Year 10 Geography teacher on the usual addresses. Really wish you all the best. Stay safe, stay positive, and enjoy the rest of your week. Take care.